Hello everybody, welcome to episode 66 of the PMD Tea Buyers Club. I'm your host, Nalanja Silva. It is Easter Monday. Everyone is still in lockdown in Sri Lanka. We're going into Tamil and Sinhalese New Year. So if you're celebrating, and if you're also Sikh and you're celebrating Vaisakhi, happy Vaisakhi, happy New Year to everyone around the world. I hope you're all well and I hope you're all staying safe. Today's episode is a little different. We haven't got the tasting cups in. We've got I think this is probably the first teapot we've actually ever featured on the PMD Tea Buyers Club. We've got a whiskey glass. We've got some very unusual looking tea. In fact, I'm going to pan that out to the camera so that you can see what's some very unusual looking tea. And those of you who've watched the PMD Tea Buyers Club would have noticed that this is not the first time we're featuring cheese. And we've got some very unusual looking tea, which isn't actually on the website just yet. Let me tell you about this tea, my friends. This tea is actually the first example of handmade teas on the PMD Tea Buyers Club. This tea comes from an estate called Forest Hill. Now, if you guys are watching this on Instagram or wherever you guys are, jump on and I'm going to link it in here. Forest Hill Tea Estate. Follow these guys. This estate is run by a very young gentleman. His name is Buddhika Disanaika. We've been talking to him for a very, very long time, and he's been having this idea of doing a fully handmade tea factory in Sri Lanka for a long, long time. And finally, last year, he actually got this project up and running. I believe towards the end of last year. The team out in Colombo and my dad went out to see him when he opened the project. I haven't actually had a chance to go down there myself and see it, but he came up to the office in Colombo and I met with him in January, and we were able to try all of his teas. This is just one of his teas that he makes. He makes a whole load of teas, and what's really interesting about what he does is that all of his teas are handmade. So everything's hand rolled, it's hand picked, hand rolled. There's no mechanization in his process whatsoever. So thus he makes small quantities. His estate is located at the other end of our spiritual home. So our spiritual home is in Muscatine. This is where our company started, which is next to Adams Peak. But if you go to the other side of Adams Peak, you dip into Ratnapura. And he is actually north of Ratnapura in a town called Eranta, and he has his factory over there. So if you're visiting the south of Sri Lanka after all this is lifted, either get in contact with us or, directly get in contact with Forest Hill, go down there and see him. Because one of the amazing teas that he does, and I've got this, and this is going to be on one of the future PMD Tea Buyers Clubs, is his hand-picked wild tea. And what he has got up there is he's got an entire forest full of wild tea trees. I'm going to keep that for another episode because I've got that tea, but I want to talk about this one. This is his handmade tea rod, and it looks like a cigar in some ways when you actually open up the packaging. And this is how the product actually comes. And this is what it unfurls into. This is an oolong tea. Now, oolong tea is the midpoint between green tea and black tea, which means that it's semi-oxidized. It's semi-oxidized tea, which kind of tells you why the color of this tea is like this. It's not green tea, neither is it a full-blown dark black tea either. It's the midpoint of tea. It's semi-oxidized. And I've been enjoying this tea for the past few weeks. The reason is that we brought these teas in for a client launch day back in the middle of March. We were supposed to actually hand these out to a customer of ours who had a big launch happening at their hotel. Of course, because of coronavirus, the whole thing stopped. And we've got loads of these teas. And over the last few days, I've just been enjoying this tea. If you guys watched my live episode, you would have seen me talk about this one. But one thing I've been enjoying with this tea is just how good it is as an after-dinner drink. Now, I've just had dinner. And I've actually brewed up one of these pots. My wife is a big fan, and by the way, big shout out to my wife, who's now the executive producer of this show. It's been noted by those watching the show that we have had an elevation in production quality, so well done. And the reason why I've used my wife and not Nadeem is that Nadeem doesn't turn up with his batteries when he turns up to a shoot, but that's another story. Getting back to the tea, today I'm using a Northern whiskey glass, just to give you guys an idea of what the color looks like, and also because one of these whiskey glasses actually allows you to really appreciate the aroma of what the product is. And this product has some great aroma to it. And the first note that you get on the nose, in fact, is this syrupy nature. Now, this tea is plucked around Ratnapur, so just underneath Sri Pada. And it's very similar in terms of leaf it's a similar geographical location to Sicilian and New Vithanakanda that I spoke about on episode 65. So you're getting that syrupy note, you're getting that sort of sweet note coming out of this. But unlike those other teas, this is a lot lighter. It's a lot more sweeter on the nose. And a lot more thicker as well. This tea tastes like sweet sherry to me, which is actually why I really like it as an after dinner drink. People always like to have coffee after dinner. I'm not a coffee fan at all, but if you're looking for a nice after dinner drink that's not port, that's not sherry, you want something different, give this a go. This is sweet, this is thick, it pairs perfectly actually with what I've got in front of me. You can keep enjoying this particular tea. This particular tea you can actually brew up to 3 times. In fact, one of the things that I've been doing is that when I have this, I actually, after the 3rd time, I put another one of these handmade tea rods into the pot, and then I can brew it for up to 5, 6, 7, 8 times, simply from the amount of flavor that you get inside these rods. But it's an easy sipping tea. It's not too thick. It doesn't have a big, huge caffeine hit, because bear in mind, everything is hand rolled. You know, the whole process is done by hand. So, you know, this is not the type of tea that you're gonna extract a lot of flavor out, where you've put it under a roller or you've sent it through a rotovane. It's a much lighter, mellower, delicate flavor coming through, almost plummy actually, you know, on the palate. And the brew changes from, you know, infusion 1 to infusion 3. This is actually infusion 1. And you can see the color if I actually pull it up there. It's, you know, mellow gold. As you brew this, the color does get a little lighter. And one thing I recommend is, if you the first infusion, I brewed it for 3 minutes. Infusion 2, brew it for 4. Infusion 3, brew it for 5. So every time you go into an infusion, one thing I've been experimenting for myself is I just add another minute onto that brewing time, and you're getting a little bit more flavor coming through. But this is a perfect after dinner drink, and it pairs perfectly with cheese. So if you're a big cheese fan and you like to have Stilton, a lot of people like to have port and Stilton after dinner. Well, something for you guys to try is Stilton, a bit of grape, it's a bit of mango chutney. I'm showing my Asian roots with my mango chutney, aren't I? And this syrupy, sweet, handmade tea from Southern Sri Lanka pairs perfectly with it. So if you guys are looking for new things to do in the summer, check out this tea. It's going to be on our website. We're going to be launching it later on this week. They're going to come packaged like this. So each one of these packets will have one single tea rod. And bear in mind, everything is handmade, hand-picked, handmade tea. We'll be bundling them into groups, and you'll be able to enjoy them. We haven't got a massive amount, and I don't know when we're going to get some more in, simply because of this COVID situation, but we will get them out there. And it will hopefully be a staple on the PMDT website. It is going to be going out to some of our clients as soon as they open up again. So if you're heading out for afternoon tea, make sure you check out this handmade tea rod. Give Forest Hill a like, because I really like what Budlika's doing out there. And, you know, happy sipping, guys. Try this tea and let me know what you think. This week we've got a few episodes coming up. What are we going to do? I don't even know. Actually, no, I do know what we're going to do this week. I got a sample of tea sent to me by a friend of mine. It's going to be our first Orthodox Kenyan tea. That's what episode 67 is about. Episode 65 is all about handmade tea. Check it out on the PMDT website. And as ever, keep safe.